You might know that grey squirrels are non-native to the UK, but did you also know that we have an introduced species of owl alongside lots of other animals? In this video, I'm going to tell you about 7 introduced species that are living wild in the UK. First up is the rarest alien species I'm going to speak about, but one that is surprisingly widespread. Rednecked, or Bennett's wallabies, have been recorded from southern England all the way up to Loch Lomond in Scotland, and are quite common on the Isle of Man. Originally from Australia and Tasmania, they were brought to the UK in the late 19th century for private collections and zoos. Some of these accidentally escaped, and others were deliberately released. Despite our cold winters, they survive pretty well, with thick fur to keep them warm, and as they're able to browse on shrubs and bushes, food is still available to them even if there is snow on the ground. As they are quite a shy creature and are mostly nocturnal, the exact number of wallabies living in the wild in the UK is unknown, but they are not thought to have any significant impact on native species so far. However, that's a very different story for the next alien animal. The American signal crayfish was first brought to the UK from North America in 1976, where they were to be kept in captivity and farmed to be eaten. But they had other ideas, and very soon escaped into the wild and have caused devastation there ever since. Not only do they carry a disease that has almost wiped out our native white-clawed crayfish, they will also eat pretty much anything they can find. Aquatic plants, fish eggs, invertebrates, and even smaller signal crayfish are all on the menu. So far they've spread across England, most of Wales, southern Scotland, and parts of Northern Ireland, and despite lots of trials and trapping, no one has found a feasible way of stopping them from spreading further. Unlike the signal crayfish, the Roman snail, which is also known as the burgundy and edible snail, has not spread so far, despite being here for a lot longer. Although there is some disagreement about when they made it into the wild in the UK, it's likely they were first brought over by the Romans and then subsequently introduced throughout the Middle Ages. Roman snails are around double the size of our native garden snail, with a shell diameter of up to 2 inches. Surprisingly, they have a high level of protection under UK law, and it's illegal to even touch them without a licence. Their numbers are quite small, and they are mostly found around southern England, with a handful of isolated populations further north. A lot of these sites are close to old monasteries and Roman roads, where they were potentially released all those years ago. Like most snails, they are slow movers, both in the short and long term. They often don't travel more than 50 metres from where they hatched their entire lives. The next non-native is the most numerous in the country, one that you've almost definitely seen before, the brown rat. Although people sometimes blame these for the Black Death, that is definitely not the case, as they were not even in the UK at that time, first arriving here almost 400 years later, around 1720. Brown rats are sometimes called Norway rats, and it's even in their Latin name, Rattus norvegicus, but this is based on a misunderstanding, as they are originally from Central Asia. In fact, they probably arrived in the UK before they even made it to Norway, and weren't recorded there until 1769. It's hard to say how many are currently in the UK, with estimates ranging widely from 7 million all the way up to 150 million. And whilst you may have heard the saying that you are never more than 6 feet from a rat, that is not true. It's worth noting that brown rats are the most intelligent and adaptable non-native species in this video, and that has helped them to colonise new places so well. They are great at finding new sources of food and safe places to shelter. As I mentioned at the beginning, there is a species of owl in the UK that is introduced and non-native. Little owls come from mainland Europe and were originally released across the English countryside in the 1800s in the hope that they would help to control some species that were considered as pests. They are now found across most of England, Wales and southern Scotland, but haven't made it to Northern Ireland yet. In fact, they might not do so without the help of people, as they aren't keen on crossing large bodies of water. Little owl numbers peaked in the UK around the 1950s, and since then they've declined by about 60%. A lot of their diet is made up of insects and beetles, which they hunt during the daytime, and scientists believe that they have filled a vacant niche in the UK, without impacting native species very much. Next up is another non-native bird, the Mandarin duck. As their name suggests, this species was brought to the UK from China in the 1700s and was mostly kept in ornamental collections because of the male's beautiful plumage. The first record of them breeding in the wild here was during the 1930s, and since then their populations have boomed. From 1995 to 2023, their numbers have increased by 580%, with 14,000 of them now thought to be living here. Most of these are in South and Eastern England, but they have been recorded in smaller numbers across the rest of the UK. Although they will visit larger water bodies, they are most often found in more sheltered areas, where waterside trees provide them with hollows for nesting within. In their native China, Mandarin ducks are seen as a symbol of love and fidelity, and are often featured in artworks and as ornaments at weddings. Just like little owls, they aren't thought to compete much with native animals and are welcomed in a lot of places, unlike the next species. House mice have been in the UK for a very long time. In fact, I wasn't sure I should include them in this video, even though they are definitely not native. DNA evidence suggests that the house mouse first made it to Britain and Western Europe between the Bronze and Iron Age, 3 to 5,000 years ago. They are originally from modern day Iran and spread with the help of people and their warm and safe houses. Although they can survive outside in our climate, they are still mostly associated with people and live in our outbuildings, barns and older dwellings. Despite their small size, house mice can have quite an impact on some native species. They are known to eat the eggs and chicks of ground nesting birds and to compete with native small mammals for sources of food. The house mouse is one of the world's most widespread non-native animals, and one estimate puts their global numbers at around 2 billion. And that's all 7. If you enjoyed this video or you learned something new, then you'll probably also like this one here on the screen now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.